Good morning, our wonderful people. Welcome to the program. Please continue to help us to share. I'm looking at the date. It says June 1st, 2024. Welcome to the program. I'm shining my eyes, okay? So I can make sure I have the right day. So, welcome to the program. We are um, happy to be here today. We're definitely going to take a moment of silence for our fallen heroes that we will never forget, even though the world wants us to forget it, as if they are disposables. They've been disposed. Nobody wants to mention it. Anyway, we are not going to waste time today. My name is Monachim Saga, and I am here in Houston, Texas.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you, our viewers, early birds, and those that stumbling on this video for the first time. Those that subscribed, thank you very much. And those hearing, yes, through the week we saw you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you because we're doing this work together. Without you, we won't be able to do this work. You are the one on the ground and doing work with us. So we appreciate what you're doing. My name is AP. I live in Lexington, Kentucky. Um, Sister Mona has gone out. Let's see what's going on. Please continue to share. Let's find out what's going on. Okay, she's back. Now she's back on the other side. I was like, okay, don't leave me here. Come, 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 come.
I didn't even know what happened. It's like boom, everything.
I'm
Yeah.
like, no, no, no.
Mm.
Yeah, we are going to pull up the first video, and we're still in the spirit of because it was 30th. That was Remembrance Day for our fallen heroes in the Biafra genocide. So this is the first Saturday after that, and we're going to pull up. We might start mention the 1 minute of silence, and then please go ahead.
All right. Let's see here. Our minute starts now. All right. Thank you so much. I will pull up the first video. Please continue to help us to share as we play these videos to remember our people. Oh, by the way, this is not our video. This is a, what is it called? Fair, a disclaimer. That's a word we were asked to use. Fair use disclaimer.
I use disclaimer, yes.
We
Yeah.
are just trying to use the work that is already in the public domain to portray our point for the day.
A very young trooper in the Biafran army. How old are you? I'm 10 years.
10 years old. You know why Biafra is fighting?
Biafra is fighting for survival.
He's going to win?
Yes, it will.
If civil war comes, and I do think it does, for freedom.
This is the high respect I have for Ojukwu. Because if I'm going to die, I'm not going to sit here and die. If our people are going to die, we're not going to just sit here and die. Let's go and die in Lagos. So he was coming to Lagos.
Ojukwu played the role of a leader because the only way he could protect the Igbo people from persecution in the country at that time was to negotiate with the federal government.
Normally, they bomb hospitals. Indeed, this last one, the aim was quite clear.
When the heat of the war continued to devastate the Biafrans, Ojukwu fled the country and left innocent civilians to sort for themselves.
All right. Please
No,
continue.
that's not that last statement was not true, please. Because we know that everybody wants to comment on our history, and sometimes they add lies to truth. Ojukwu did not leave to leave innocent civilians to suffer. That wasn't what happened. So that's why we need to have our statehood so that we can correct our history, because that is their story. We are just making use of what is available in the public. By the time we have our independence and we are able to control our future, our destiny, and everything that has to do with us, we will put out the correct narrative and we will know who did what, when, how, and why. Thank you. Please continue to help us to share, like, and subscribe. We are Ndi Igbo. We are survivors, victims of that genocide. We are not taking it lightly. The heroes, our heroes and heroines, we are not taking lightly the sacrifice, because it was because of them that we are here. The plan was to exterminate every male child from 2 years up, and they already started at Asaba. But there was intervention. We know where the intervention came from. We will not go into it now, but there was intervention that stopped that evil scheme. So if anybody is telling you that they wanted to do whatever, that's not true. We are only here. The only reason you are here, if I am an Igbo person, the only reason you are here is because there was a divine intervention. Otherwise, the enemy did not want us to be here. Please continue to share, like, and subscribe. I will continue to bring you the truth. We are daughters of the land. We are daughters of truth. Thank you.
The Nigerian Civil War was the first major war in Africa, post-independent Africa. So it began in 1967 when I was about 7 years old, and ended in 1970 when I was 10. In that war, at least 2 million people died, most of them children or women, but mostly children who died from malnutrition. There wasn't food. And so some of my memories during that war are memories of hunger, and also memories of the dread that as a child you feel to be in a war zone and to find that at any moment jets, military jets, might arrive in your space and start strafing, bombing all over the place without considering whether they are hitting military targets or civilian targets. And so we constantly had to be attentive to a sound, because, these jets come quickly. And once they come, you start hearing the boom, boom of bombs exploding all over the place. So we had to run into bushes and brushes, and you just had to lie down. And sometimes, you saw the metallic eggs, these fearsome bombs, as they were coming out of the planes, and then You saw them as they hit ground as a child, to lose your innocence, to see people who have been killed, to see a man slump at a refugee camp where he's gone to look for food and he's standing in line and you just see him slump. To see kids like myself who were less fortunate, who had become so emaciated that they were all head and bloated stomachs that seemed filled with just air. War isn't romantic at all. It's a very, very gruesome and very painful and very terrifying event.
All right, so that's our brother giving a first-hand account of what took place that day that they want us to forget. Like my sister said, their goal was to exterminate until there was a are we still on?
Yes, we're on. Yeah, there's
What's
a
the-
divine intervention. Yes.
I'm on a different screen. Yes, until divine intervention came. So we will never forget our people because, like my sister said, without them, we will not be here. So they can play the games that they're playing, pretend like it didn't happen because our skin tone doesn't demand that they recognize what has happened to us. But we are going to recognize what happened to us. So we are going to move on today. Unless, sister, do you have anything to add? Oh, the intro.
Oh,
We need to
okay.
start with the intro, right?
Yes, so the intro is kind of a recap because we've run this series. This is the final part of it. The plan that part of the plan that they had. After they couldn't exterminate us, within the 3 years, so after they couldn't exterminate us and divine intervention, which we told you that, which is well documented. There's a story for another day how that happened. After their plan didn't work, to physically exterminate us, they now put mechanisms in place to make sure that we are driven from our land, that we are scattered all over the world, that our land is not developed, and that we continue to suffer. And 54 years after that, we are still suffering. So we have shown you, we've run part 1. Please, if you have not watched this series, who are the enemies of the people? Who are the enemies of the people? If you have not watched part 1, part 2, we'll put the links here. Please, you go and watch them so that you follow today. So as a recap, a genocide, like according to Kofi Annan, a genocide begins when the killing of one man or one woman is not done because of, okay, let me take it again. Begins with the killing of one man or one woman, not for what he has done, but because of who he is. That's according to Kofi Annan. A genocide begins with the killing of one man or one woman, not for what he or she has done, but because of who he is or she is. That's Kofi Annan. May is a month of the year when we remember the massacre of the peoples of Biafra by some bloodthirsty, foreign instituted puppets called generals, who also captured and distributed Biafran women, Biafran girls among themselves. You can go and check out. You see these generals, they took away our women and forcefully married them. Growing up, we saw them and we were wondering what Igbo women we are doing with these enemies. When we were small, we didn't understand that. It didn't make sense. Like, how will you fall in love with a man that will kill all your uncles and brothers and sisters and everyone? Like Miriam Babangida, everyone in her town died. All the males were killed. How will you fall in love with the person that killed her? How does that happen? It does not make sense to us. Now we know that they were part of war booty and they distributed to the rest of their people. Took everything, resources, land, oil, everything, took our future, took our present, took everything. Have Nigerians learned anything? No, they chose to cover this genocide. And right now, genocide is happening everywhere. Northeast, Northwest, Middle West, everywhere, Southwest, everywhere. Because injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So it has spread everywhere. That thing you condone, it happened to Igbo people, you say it was okay. Now, go on. Your people are paying with their blood. We are watching systematic destruction of other indigenous peoples. They moved them to IDP camps and renamed their towns and their villages. And Christians are clapping hands. Mega churches are building fantastic cathedrals, halls, having fun, buying private jets, building hospitals, schools, private businesses from the money they generated from the public. Today, Daughters of Truth will continue to our advocacy and enlightenment because that's the weapon we have. The only weapon against ignorance is information. It is not AK-47, it's not machete, it's not a bullet, it's not, it's information. Give people accurate information so that their brain will begin to realign. So the accurate information we give in this show and other shows that are associated with Ninas, we upturn falsehood and make self-hate manufactured in Britain against the indigenous peoples trapped here. So in other videos before now, we have done things like Caliphate Not Food Embargo on the South, a catalyst to union reset. That's the main video from Ninas that we are watching. I've broken them into parts. Today is the final part. In some of the videos, we also showed you Edo State, the forest and the farms, how they are being rendered dangerous so that farmers cannot go there to farm, and there's food scarcity right now as we speak in Nigeria. We can see, as we are telling you these things, you are seeing them, you're living with them. It's no more news that they said far off. Your people are already living in needs. We also showed you hidden mechanisms that they put in place to hold indigenous peoples down. And then we talked about stop spreading falsehoods manufactured in England, because we told you that all these falsehoods, they go to England, to London, to the colonial monsters place, cook them, manufacture them, bring them up. Things like NYSC program scheme. They say, oh, NYSC is to unite you together. No, it's to continue to enslave the southern lady of means. The people in the south, they knew how hardworking you are. They put you where they will tie your hands and you'll be there, and then take the northern people that they did not educate properly, they put them in some choice place just to make the system not to work. That's why you are where you are, not any other lie. We also showed you the estates of Usman Dan Fodio, the Fulani conquest agenda, how it's working together with the colonial monsters from Britain. So these things we showed. Please go and look at the videos, watch them so that you educate your people and continue your town hall meetings to your people. Spread this information to your people. Put it, magnify it, share it, subscribe. Because the more you subscribe to our videos, we need to push our subscription on YouTube especially to 5,000 at least. Because when you subscribe, other people, YouTube will be recommending those videos to other people. And then you're part of the campaign. And before you know it, our people will get the information that they need to get. Thank you very much. The video will start now. Thanks, Sister Mona.
Thank you, my sister, for that wonderful recap. So let me start this video. This is the part 3 of our video, and then we'll comment afterwards.
The Assembly could not have approved the NYSC Act. That's another campaign that we're going to launch sooner than later. Let us finish with the urgent task. The NYSC decree of 1973. For those who have been proudly wearing their uniform of NYSC, you don't question anything. We had a problem that took us to war. War ended. instead of going to solve the issues that are still unresolved to this date. These same issues we are raising today were the things that took us to war in 1967. How do we live together? Was that not the issue that they went to Aburi and agreed, and then they came back and go on and go abandoned it at the direction of the British and began to kill people, to lock everybody down to what we have seen now. Now, instead of going to solve that problem, you now set up a scheme in which you took young people who may not have been politically conscious when the trouble began, to say, let the young people mix up. The children of the north will come to the south and see their country. The children of the south will go to the north and see their country. And as they mix up, they will understand themselves better, and it will be El Dorado thereafter. Yeah. That's the front. That's the front screen. At the back end, the NYSC was a scheme by which the children of Sokoto, the children of Kano, the children of Maiduguri were sent to go and serve in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Warri, where they will be retained after the service year in NNPC, in MPA, in Central Bank, and all such institutions. Whereas the children of Lagos, the children of Ibadan, the children of Warri, the children of Enugu, the children of Port Harcourt are sent to go and perish in Kaura Namoda, in Gashua, in Brinin, Kebi, wherever. And you get there, there's no prospect of any kind of job. You are taken to rural places to go to teach. 90% of the bureaucracy of how Nigeria is being managed, whether you went to NNPC or you went to Central Bank or you went to any of all these other places, the recruitment process was in that standing instruction of retain them when they come to serve in your place in Port Harcourt, and then they put it in that constitution. NYSC is in a part of the constitution that requires 4/5 majority. That is Land Use Act, NYSC Act. What was Land Use the Decree? They called it Act when they imposed the constitution later. What was the NYSC? What was the Land Use Decree? The land ownership system in the north was one in which the emir owned everything, and gave only those he chose. If he didn't give you, he didn't get. In the south, it was different. Lands belonged to individuals and on some occasion communities. And so if you worked hard, you got the quantity. Your family could inherit so much, you could buy so much, but all amongst right to private property. The north, this same caliphate, targeting the lands of the south and everybody else in the middle belt, decided to bring the land use decree in which government became the owner of all the lands. In that military era, the governors who were now to be holding, the governors were appointed, governor of your state could come from Kebi, the governor of Imo could come from Zamfara, and all of that. So these generals, these genocide generals you see that are still hanging around like demons today, they took the choicest lands all across the length and breadth of Nigeria under that land use decree, which they then smuggled into that constitution by the instrumentality of Obasanjo that introduced 17 amendments after the Constituent Assembly had submitted its clean copy. 17 amendments. One such amendment is to restore for the caliphate the states that the Constituent Assembly rejected as federating units instead of the regions. That was how we lost all our economic assets. For the liars and charlatans that are spreading the story of how Ironsi did the Ironsi decree number 34 did not touch the structure of the Federation of Nigeria. Anybody from the South and Middle Belt who has education and who is spreading that falsehood that was crafted in Britain and nurtured in Sokoto will labor under the curse, because Ironsi had been killed on the 29th of July in 1966. Almost 1 year to the time on the 27th of May in 1967, when Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon did the bidding of his masters in the attempt to stop the East from declaring Biafra in 3 days from that point. That was the first time the 4 regions structure of the Federation of Nigeria was tampered with. 27th of May, 1967. Ironsi only formed an administration, that's some kind of governance by the military, because the federal government had been decapitated. 2 of the regional governments have been, everything was in disarray, have been decapitated by those. The people that staged the coup did not get to power. Nzogbu and Co didn't get to power, they were stopped. Ironsi only happened to be the most senior military officer. He had to be the head, he was the head of the army. It fell on him to rally people back to some kind of so the governors were appointed for the 4 regions. That will tell you that the regions were still intact. Usman Katsina for the north, killed later for the west, Ojukwu in the east, Ejo in the midwest. These 4 military administrators, sitting with the head of the army, became the Supreme Military Council. Of course, they had the head of police and 2 other service chiefs joining them. That was what the Supreme Military Council was all about. That was the only governance. The parliament could not be functioning in the period where there's no government of civil rule. So they took over the functions of the parliament in that emergency to stabilize, to stop the killings and stabilize things. 6 months down the road, people who read their own meanings to say, oh, it was Igbo coup. Nigeria is dying today because Nigeria was trying to kill the Igbo on account of various falsehoods manufactured in England. You saw the German that was telling the story of what transpired. These things are falsehoods, and people with education from the south, because they think that once Igbo is killed, their life will be better. Look at what is happening all over the place. Just back 50 years. In all these places where people are being slaughtered, look back through the years and see why people are being slaughtered in the various places that are being slaughtered today. If not for the lunatic that came to restore Biafra in the air, in the east, the east wouldn't have been, wouldn't have been at the receiving end of Nigeria, but for the madmen that say they want to restore the Biafra that has no boundary. At a time where we are putting the monster that is holding them down to death. They sabotaged that effort, and they went about killing our own people because they want to make money from dying people. So, where we are now, just to tell you that the people we are dealing with know what they are doing, but our own people refuse to know. It was that thing that Harcourt, that betrothal that Harcourt was talking about, that was what Ahmadu Bello was celebrating in 1960, at the time the British will now leave. Handing us over, we had been betrothed to them in 1914. The one that did the betrothal is going. Ahmadu Bello was now the one to receive the full control of all of us from them. And that was what he was celebrating when he told the lieutenants in the first week of independence in 1960 that the new nation called Nigeria should be an asset of their great-grandfather Othman Danfodio, and that they must ruthlessly prevent a change of power. They use the minorities of the north as willing tools and the south as a conquered territory. Never allow them to allow us to rule over them, and never allow us to have control over our own future. These are the things that, he was telling them He was as a Premier of Northern Nigeria, Sir Ahmadu Bello, celebrating the grand bequest by the British Crown. That grand bequest is that 1913 explanation that we were now, as the South, we were now being handed over to the North as they were described as Southern Lady of Mins. We told us about how long they had extracted this and sold this, this oil that we are still dying over today. They sold for 50 years plus before they declared Oloibiri in 1957. If you doubt me, go and research Shell Diary, the name by which Shell was operating, and see how they could have come in 1957, but were regulated, that is, by the Crown in 1936. Go to their website, go to Shell website and see what they were doing in 1936. By which time the Crown was now coming to take a portion of their profits by way of regulation. Before then, they were operating just a charter and paying only what comes as tax. They were headquartered in Owerri for 42 years before going to Port Harcourt in 1960. What were they doing in Owerri in that massive facility? And people with education don't bother to look. They just take whatever they are told and continue to spread the falsehood that is putting millions of people to death, because Nigeria is a pile of lies. Everything you were told is a lie.
All right, so we'll stop for now so we can have some recap of what has already been said, because it's a lot of information, lots of information. So let me pull out the PowerPoint for the day. Please continue to help us to share. All right, so Stephen, go ahead.
So as a recap, you heard when our brother mentioned about the Land Use Act. You see now, they have moved forward with it under the interregnum President Tinubu. The president, I will tell you, is illegitimate, because we know how it happened. So now they want to make the local government to be directly under the federal government. It's still Ruga they're trying to get to. So before, they made all the lands to be under the government of each state, as if that control is not working, because people are still breathing. You know, it's about, I'm not breathing. Their knee is on our neck, and we are not able to breathe. So they are now trying to move it from local government so that directly the federal government will be in charge of those lands, no more the governor. That's why you see people like Obasanjo and his Otta farm, which he never bought, allegedly. Because these days they say we should be adding allegedly. Allegedly. When you see truth, if you say it, you say allegedly. You see how we have gone. Are you people following what is happening to us? If we're Zoku, you could say Zoku, you see allegedly. You know it's the truth, but you have to say allegedly. If not, you will not sleep in your house that day. Obasanjo has land in Delta State. His forefathers are not from Delta State, and he didn't buy them. That's how they are giving to Fulanese lands under the disguise of federal government project. Like Munachi has told you how in their village they brought one puppet, an indigenous person. We told you that the difference between neo-colonialism and colonialism is that in neo-colonialism, your own brother is doing you. So that when you go to the colonial master, say, see what they're doing me, he say, it's your brother, it's not us. You will not know that your own brother has your skin color, but it's not your brother anymore. His brain has been turned.
It's all about cash.
Yes, to be against you. So you see them taking lands. In Isuochi, for instance, one son there said they want to bring cashew plantation to Isuochi people. Go there and see what is coming now. Did you see cashew plantation?
Nope.
What
People were giving lands almost for free, thinking they're getting jobs.
So what you have is Fulani plantation. Ruga is already going on. You go to Newi, you go to all the, there's something they say about 131 communities giving under things like this. Just the same way people carried land and gave to churches, thinking they were bringing gospel to you. Go and see all the churches, Anglican, Roman Catholic, Pentecostal, Ndimo, all of them, they didn't buy land. People gave them the land, thinking that they were coming to bring good news to our people. But they came as enemy. They took our lands, took our resources, took our people, brainwashed our people, and see where we are now. Poverty capital of the world. And then you see people literally killing their own children and eating. Like what you read in the Bible and say, is this possible? You say, Bible is not true. I hope some of you are now believing that the information recorded in that Bible is actually true, because we are living it now. Continue to help us to share and like and subscribe. We told you that all the falsehood, they manufacture them in England. Anything they tell you they're doing, go and look at the back where the information is coming from. You see what is the purpose actually. It's not what they told you in front. It's like when you're going for election, that they told you they were changing money. It wasn't to change money. It's to incapacitate you so that they can read the election. For those of you running after Peter Obi, who told you that is Fulani Obi, Fulani Peter Obi. I won't put allegedly in this one because that's what he is. He's working for Fulani. You can see the videos out there where he promised them that he will make sure the 1999 Constitution, nothing touches it. He has already made that promise. So Ndibo, you already sold, and they've given them the receipts. It's delivery we're waiting for. So if you don't key into Ninas and you're following Peter Obi, they will deliver you and your household. As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. We will deliver our people. Those of you that are working with the enemy, you are going to sell your household. Just like some people doing freedom fighting. By the time their parents disappeared, they started shouting, I lost my parents. No, you sold them. Because you took an oath not to betray our people. But you went ahead and betrayed our people. Those that were there when this oath was taken, they will give you first-hand accounts. So when you lose your parents, don't come crying to us. You sold them. We are here working for our people. Continue to join us in what we're doing. We said that this idea of monkey they walk, baboon they chop is no more okay. We need to stop this poverty. We need to stop this backwardness. We need to renegotiate this union so that we can move forward. The flag independence that they brought 1960, we told you is external colonizers handing over to internal colonizers. It is not independence. Those that are moving around bringing all sorts of constitution that are cooking up under their tables, they are wasting their time. Constitution is from the grassroots then up. In a federation, the component members will make their own charters and constitution, and then that is what is coming to the center to form a union. That is how federation is. Just continue to fool around and deceive yourself. We are going where we are going, not going back. Ahead, I'm watching forward. When you are tired, you begin to leave our land, like Kumuyi, Sama, whatever, all those pastors, they're already leaving. We told you people, they will leave. When the money is no more there that they're stealing, they will leave. Your politicians will leave. The more you wake up, the more you stand up and join the alliance, We told you you will not fire one bullet to get this freedom. We are telling you. The more you wake up and spread this information and wake up your brothers and sisters in your villages and everywhere, the more the people wake up and understand what is happening to them. These pastors and their politicians will pack away from our land. They will run away. They can't stand the heat. They are cowards. They can't stand the heat. They can't stand truth. You see the one that is happening to MFM, how they're exposing that one. He went and put his pastor in prison because the man saw him in Babalawo's house and his agents. This is not allegedly. The case is in the court and they have finished it in court. So go and look for that video. Because he saw them there, he wanted to buy this man. For 9 years, he kept him in prison. Pastor. Have you seen what we're telling you people? That these people are not agents of God. They are agents of the colonial monsters. We are here to bring gospel of Yeshua to you people. You don't have it yet. What you have is evil message from Europe from colonizers. Gospel is for liberation. Yeshua HaMashiach died that you might be free, that you might have life and have it in abundance. He said, I became poor that you might become rich. That is the gospel. Anything against this that is making you to be poor is not the gospel. It's the imagination of the evil people. We are yet to bring gospel to our people. For now, what you have is fakeness, criminality, manipulation. Those need to be swept away. And by the way, all those idols from Europe that people call Mary and Jesus, remove them from your homes, remove them from your communities, because these are idols. We don't worship idols. We worship Chukwokike, the creator of heaven and earth, the one that lost us so much that he put us in a land full with milk and honey. That is the God that we worship, not the God of Adeboye, not God of Abioye, not God of Sebojo, God of Sebanjo, we are not worshiping those ones. Those ones are British monsters, idols from Europe. The God that we worship loves us. That's why he gave us a land that when you eat mango and drop it, it will grow up by itself. That's why they're fighting now. All this war you're seeing is about land. They want to take our blessing from us and give us curse and say it's God that caused us. God did not cause us. It is human-made. It's man-made. Thank you. My sister will continue.
All right. Thank you, my dear. I'm so heartsick, man, listening to all of this. I still don't know why we are struggling to understand the information that is presented before us. We've been mentioning this over and over again, and yet some people still have hope that P2B will rescue them from the place called Nigeria. When you've been told that they will never allow you to control your future, that they must ruthlessly prevent a change of power, they must use the minorities of the North as the wooden tools, and the South as a conquered territory, and never allow you to be over your future. And we have a way out. We have a way out to get out of Fulani's plan for us because they are not playing. These people will develop their plan for 50 years and they are marching, following it bumper to bumper. While you pray to God, have your midweek service, come to America for your son's graduation and go back and pretend like all is well, when we have a plan on the table that can allow the indigenous peoples to get back their sovereignties. We mentioned to stop spreading the falsehood manufactured in England. We've said this time and time without number. So those of our people that are going into the streets, such as the NSAS, without strategy, we try to contact these people. I tried to contact them. I know Brother Tony spoke to a whole lot of them, those that are manning the so-called protests. And we told them that's not what the issues are. You're just kind of like, it's like somebody trying to cook moi moi, and then all of a sudden you didn't even wash the beans. You begin to eat the beans raw. We told them that they didn't have any strategy to dismantle what is going on with our people, which is the 1999 Constitution. The lawyer Nkonyi Shonyara, before he cut his hair, he will go and be shouting 1999 Constitution. Once they pay them, he will remove himself and begin to be the spokesperson for P2B under the same Constitution that he came out to tell you guys that is the problem. So you can see those people are not for you. Go and look at our history. Consistently, we've been saying the same thing. All of these things endanger our people. At the end of the year, or at the end of the day, nothing was achieved. We also have the agents of politicians trying to smuggle 2014 conference report as if it's the decision of people of Nigeria, rather is the decision of them and their British agents. The same people confiscated our land, our resources, and they shared it among themselves. My sister mentioned earlier the Obasanjo Otta farm. How they take, it's not just the farm, they have oil block. I used to think, how can a man have an oil block by himself? Like, is he a country? Like, it wasn't making sense to me. So now it does. So it was their victory charter that they all dispersed around themselves. You know, one guy, you pick up any Igbo girl and then you get all your block for yourself. And they turn around and call themselves statesmen. And even at 90, they're still there doing statesmen because the West wants us to believe that they care for us. Criminals everywhere.
But you see how in Niger State now they say that a politician sponsored wedding for 100 victims of Boko Haram. It's not now it started. They will conquer you, take your girls, spread among themselves, and sponsor wedding. Take oil blocks so that they use it to give you food and then live the life they want to live.
Can you imagine? Where are you going to train the children after your marriage? In a place that is not safe? In a place that people in Borno are giving quit notice by the terrorists? Where are you planning to raise these children? As we watch, political parties are organizing an election under 1999 Constitution. P2B is telling you, go home for this year or for last year. It's just a football match. You just lost. Come back again in 2027. And people actually created a platform and they are strategizing on how to support P2B come 2027. Our lawyers are pretending that we, the citizens, are slaves. And yet, they are not doing anything about it. They are helping to spread the falsehood from England. They are pretending as if you're a citizen when they know you have no rights. God forbid if you're poor, you definitely don't even exist. We know that Nigeria, as currently constituted, is a pile of lies. Pile of lies. Anyone promoting it is an enemy and a liar, including your church leaders, including your sisters, the ones that are benefiting from one Nigeria, including your brothers, especially those that are still promoting and praying for God to bless such a lie and abomination. We have been punked, people. We have been punked. We do want to extend our greetings and our love for those brothers and sisters that showed up. They're already working. They are on Twitter. They are sending flyers. They are getting information out there. They're sending soft copies. We appreciate you. That's how we are going to tear down the system that was systematically created to bring us down and destroy us. To make sure that as we're making effort to go back forward, that there's a mechanism out there to draw us backwards. That's what we're here gaga. If you look at where we are now compared to 5 years ago, it's worse. People have given it all. People have given all their resources, bringing their retirement. They keep bringing and bringing all in the name for you to see the work that you have put in, and there's nothing to show for it. Every time you look around, it's more and more deterioration going on. There's hunger in the land. So have you learned anything today? Please continue to help us to share and subscribe. We do thank a lot of you this week that made a lot of our video go viral, even though numbers are being blocked. even when they write numbers, they change it back by themselves. If you're looking at the analytics, every area has different numbers for the same video because they're trying to change the numbers around, and then they will forget to go to some places to make it match. So if you have learned something today, please write it down in the comments. I will pull up the part 4 of this video, and then we will be done. We'll give you guys a take-home point. I did post a link of this video in its entirety in our on the platform today. So it's something that you actually need to sit down and listen. Listen, like, you know, I don't even know how else. I want to compare this to reading the Bible for the day, because if you can understand this, then we are good to go. We are good to go. You'll be able to carry on the message and wake them up to what is happening to them. Wake them up. You were never let go by the British colonial monsters. They were always there, just with an exchange of hand. They switch you over to someone else, another caretaker that will deal with you accordingly. Oh, I have to stop sharing. I'm like, why is this not working? All right.
So where we are today is that as it has pleased God to free us from this bondage, the collapse, if there's anything you take from this meeting, it is that the collapse of the 1999 Constitution, the amalgamation of 1999, is the termination of the unitary union anchored upon that constitution. That this union is at an end. The fact that we have successfully delegitimized the basis of the 1999 constitution such that the National Assembly is now talking about writing a new constitution. We don't need to hear any further thing from them because they do not have the constituent powers to write constitution for us. And for those who gathered in the ones who gathered in Lagos to recommend our new constitution, Nina's campaign is not for writing of new constitution. Nina's campaign is to take down the fraud of the 1999 you call constitution and to hand over the sovereignties that are detained by that constitution back to the owners such that they will, in unfettered self-determination, decide what they do with their sovereignties in two stages. First is there may be some of them who want to federate, form a fresh union away from the union of 1999, away from the union of 1914. Currently defined by 1999 Constitution. It is in those two stages you must go back to the preamble for you to know what needs to happen now. Anybody who is talking about a new constitution for a federation, that person is an illiterate, even if he's a professor of law. We are of course going to answer those I think there are 9 of them, the 9 legal experts, the consultants that National Assembly has appointed to lead them in the journey into the forest. We're going to respond to them publicly like we responded to Olusegun. Anybody who is talking about a constitution for a federation is an illiterate. A federation is a union of constitutions. The federating units you must identify first, because you're talking about lands and people that will be aggregated into one political union. And so you must identify the Yoruba in Yoruba land, the Ijaw in Ijaw land. They are the ones exclusively invested with the authority to federate, to decide whether to federate and the terms of the federation. That is what they call constituent powers. National Assembly does not have constituent powers. They were elected to make laws. Their legislative mandate is limited to lawmaking. Every role they play in venturing into making of constitution or remaking is treason against the rest of us. And we've told them, and we're not going to tell them any more than we've already told them. We're going to carry on in what we are doing. And with the collapse of the constitution now, The owners of the sovereignties are going to act unilaterally. They are thinking that we have to wait until they agree for us to have a meeting. We don't need any meeting with them. We've told them. The owners of the economic assets that are detained by Nigeria can take those economic assets right now. The guns they need to protect themselves in their spaces, in their natural spaces. That constitution was the reason they couldn't touch gun before. Today, that constitution is dead. So the consequence of the situation, the consequence of our victory over that constitution is that the union and the rules of the union, these are two different things. The fact of union and the rules of the union are now out of the way. What are those rules? You say you are Imo State and Abia State and all those things are creations of that constitution. You say you are National Assembly, creation of constitution. You say you are police, Nigerian army, all creations of that constitution. Council chairman, constitution. Governor, constitution. Exclusive list from 1 to 68. It is that constitution. It is in that exclusive list that the oil and gas of Niger Delta is now the property of some stupid federal government, some illicit federal government. Our federation collapsed at the point Gowon and his co-travelers fractured the federation. From the day they were fractured into 12 states, the federation died. So where is that federal government coming from when we don't have a federation? So that federal government that is now the controller of and the owner of all these economic assets and the controller of all the guns in the land and the controller of infrastructure, the controller of election, the controller of ports, the controller of all those 68 items. The implication for what has happened now is that we have no union as of today, and we have no constitution that can retain our economic assets or forbid us from touching God. In the altar call that will issue, those who have woken up, quite a number have woken up, we can assure you, are going to come along the second quarter. We'll be making a formal announcement. I think we're going to have an event, before that 31st of March in 2024 to open the portals for those who agree with us from all across the length and breadth of Nigeria, the alliance territory, all across the alliance territory of Nigeria. The Hausa will come in another layer, already doing what they need to do, but we have to get done with what we are doing so that they can be properly empowered, properly equipped. They will have our support to assert their own sovereignty and their own right to self-determination from the 1804, from when it was confiscated by the invader Uthman Danfodio and his gang. And so we have arrived at that constitutional logjam. When you hear constitutional logjam, many think that a trailer will fall on East-West Road. No. Constitutional logjam is where we have arrived, in which the National Assembly is running helter-skelter to write the constitution because the other one is dead. Emeka Anyoko and his co-travelers are running around to write another constitution. You heard what in the opening remarks in that Lagos colloquium to tell you the kind of sinister situation we have. In his opening remarks, Emeka Anyoko says that Nigeria has only two options: either to adopt the 2014 conference that did not discuss the basis of union and the terms of union. They refused to, Jonathan convened them to examine the foundation upon which we are building. They decided on their own that they will not examine that foundation. That is not up for discussion, the question of our unity. That was their first decision on the floor of the conference. So that 2014 conference did not, that was why Nina stayed away, that was why we all stayed away. Now you say that we can only choose between adopting that. And why are we rejecting it? Why are we rejecting 2014? So that we who are can understand it fully. Three major reasons. The terms of reference the terms of reference that they finally smuggled in as what will prevail from the office of Secretary of Government, Pius Anyim at the time, the terms of reference is that whatever they discuss will be integrated into the existing constitution. That already defeats the entire purpose, because you are now holding that 1999 constitution sacrosanct. That whatever that conference, national conference of 2014, whatever they decide, any resolutions they pass, any decision they take will be incorporated. That means the National Assembly will amend the constitution to accommodate what they can accommodate from it. Terms of reference. Then the matter of representation. Reason number 2, why Ninas will not touch it, no matter how they shout, no matter how they cry. Reason number 2 is that the representation, the people who came to discuss, were not the owners of the sovereignty in the sense required to invest constituent power. The basis of representation was the structures created by the criminal enterprise of states, 36 states, delegate of states, 7 and 4 local government areas, geopolitical zone. That was all. And then special interests, civil society. Are they the owners of the sovereignty? The British avoided the owners of the sovereignty in 1914. Lancaster House avoided the owners of the sovereignty when they were now discussing with the politicians they are trained. All the military regimes avoided all the conferences from after Abure. All the conferences had been avoiding the owners of the sovereignty. Had the Yoruba and or Ijo or Igbo ever been invited to any meeting by the Nigeria that's occupying their sovereignty, that is confiscating their sovereignty and conscripting into a political union? No. So they want to now pretend that gathering of their own nominees in 2014 was sufficient representation for all of us, so that we don't need to waste time anymore to go and discuss anything. And then Emeka Anyaoku says that we have to choose between that conference report and the setting up of some kind of constituent assembly elected on why do you go to electing constituent assembly when you have not organized, you have not identified the units that want to federate? The default, the where we are now is that the collapse of that constitution has brought us to no union. We're in a no union situation. They will not understand it until it's way too late. It's already too late for them. Yadudu suspected that would be the situation. That was why he raised alarm in 2020 when he said that if this force majeure proceeds, that the legal basis of the Federation of Nigeria will be unhinged. We successfully launched what we had in mind. The legal basis of the Federation is unhinged. So that National Assembly is looking for replacement. The agents of Britain and the Caliphate gathered in Lagos to join them. And so, in pointing us to those two options, Emeka Anyaoku is looking at drafting of constitution as the first order of business, whereas there are 2 other businesses that you must do before you come to the question of documenting the outcome. What are those 2 processes? Go back to the preamble. You divide it into 3. We, the people of Federal Republic of Nigeria. No, stop there. Who are the we? You had Oladipo raising that question in his interview. You must identify the we. It must be Yoruba coming with their lands and their people into a discussion. It must be Ijo coming with their lands and their people into discussion. It must be Igbo. It must be Beron. It must be Tif. It must be Urobo. It must be Edo. It must be Anan. It must be Efi. Everybody on his ancestral space. Those are the only people that qualify for we the people. I saw one of the journalists interviewing Victor Atta on channels. saying that are they not Nigerians? So any group of people you gather in Oshodi Market can go to a hotel and become we the people for everybody. That is the first big question. Who are the we the people? If we can't answer that question, we are proceeding to nothing. Any group of people that gather to say they are discussing my future, if they are not coming with their lands and their people in consequence of their sovereignty, no matter, even if they go and bring all the former government before, bring them back to life, bring all the presidents that died before, to say they are the ones, because anybody who gets, the Nigeria, the elder statesman, if they knew the solution to the problem, we would. So no matter how much they, parade themselves as the organizers of society for fraud, they do not understand what the problem is, and the few that understand are being dishonest. The two options that Emeka Anyoko offered lands us in the same result of let's go and write constitution. It is when you have identified the owners of these sovereignties that will become one political union. You come to the second big question of the one that Bola Ige raised. Have they agreed to be in one political union? And you can only arrive at that by referendum. There's no other way. Anybody who tries any other thing they try will be attacked with more vigor than we are doing this 1999 convention. Any other thing they try to bring that will not respect these parameters, this sequence of going from identifying the we the people to getting them to resolve by meeting. You can't solemnly and firmly resolve to be indivisible union without any meeting. It is that meeting of the Yoruba with their sovereignty in their hand, sitting with the Ijaw sovereignty in his hand, sitting with Berom and Igbo and Edo. That is the only meeting that can, and they can't go to that meeting if their people have not spoken in a referendum. That's why we say two-stage, multi-regional, the Yoruba will sort out that question at home. It's not INEC that will conduct that referendum for them. There must be the populace, the Yoruba people will say we want to be in union or we don't want to be in union. The other people will do the same. It is when they have committed to being in union that you now come to the second question of the terms of the union. Okay, we are going to be in union. Are we to be in 36 states and 7 and 4 local government areas and 3 tiers of government? To have 68 items on the exclusive list that tie our hands? That is in that third question. You have identified the constituents, the ones who are going to federate with their lands and the boundaries with amongst them. However, they arrange them themselves, like in the lower Niger, you saw the map of 1885, identifying Edo land, Urobo land, Igbo land, and all of those lands. There's a charter of relationship binding them. The same thing in the middle belt. You have identified Tiv land, Idoma land, Joko land, Berom land. There's a charter of relationship binding them. It is at that first layer that they will sort out all of those things and come as a unit when they are now discussing with the rest, after they have agreed, that people have agreed to be in union. So it is in the top leg that you then sort out all those details. That's 68 items of exclusive list. I'll be surprised if more than 5 will survive in that kind of a meeting. These 36 states, I'll be surprised if we have more, 4 or 5 units. Even if it becomes 8 or 9 or 10, because some people now want to do more for themselves. Certainly, it has to be their decision. Certainly, we're not discussing taxes. Certainly, nobody will mention local government area because it will be internal to them. It is in that third compartment of discussing these details that you draw the lines. Yes, we are going to be formation. Yes, we are going to have these few items to leave for the union office. Yes, we are going to have A, B, C, D. You bring this, you take that. The citizen, what are the basic, what are the minimum? Where does the right of the citizen end? Where does the right of state begin? Today we don't have all of that because they just wrote something in chapter 2 and took it away in section 6. We are slaves under the current regime with no right to anything, including the right to life. That's why people are being killed without consequences. It is when you have sorted out all of this that you now come to another room to say, gentlemen, all these agreements, let us write it down in a manner that everybody and the future generation can understand it. It is in that writing it down that you have a document you can call constitution. Of course, you take it to referendum thereafter. And before you come to where you are writing that one union constitution, the ones that agree to federate will already have had their constitutions. When we were going to independence in 1960, did we not have the constitution of Western region made out, the constitution of Eastern region made out, the constitution of Northern region made out, before they went to Lancaster House as three different countries that were going to discuss whether or not, and if yes, how? So we're back to that stretch we were from 1951 at this time. But the joy of it is that if the people we are talking to do not summon themselves and rally themselves, even if they have to do doctrine of necessity, we're no longer bothered about what they have to do to come to that table. That's the only thing. It is the onus is on them to come to set up that meeting. We're no longer keen. We've been waiting for them since 1999, and even long before, since after Aburi, we've been waiting to have a meeting to sort out this matter. They were pointing guns at us, thinking that nothing could be done. But now we have done something that is bigger than gun. They are the ones who have to convince us that we can still be in union. You saw Tambuwal come to town, say, this matter is hotter than I thought. We have to go tell everybody now, do doctrine of necessity so that the people can. They now all realize they're in trouble because the default, the big joker in our hand, there's nothing they can do about it at this point. It's too late. The big joker in our hand is that if no meeting happens, if they do not themselves and come to meet us, even if we decide to sit under mango tree in Idiaraba, the union is at an end as we speak. The sovereignties are on the table as we speak, to be taken by those who organize themselves, along with the guns to defend themselves. They require nobody else's permission to do all of this, I'm telling you, and that is what will happen if they do not find some means and mechanism for convincing us that we could still be in union. We are convinced now that we can't be in union with people who owe it a duty of faith to kill us. That's the one, the Sharia we have identified. No. We're not going to have anything to do with those ones. Feudalism, no. And since the agreement that locked us all down before has been defeated, the reality is no union. And we are going to move from this altar call. We are moving expeditiously to freeing ourselves from whatever is left of their shackles that have been broken. If they convince sufficient numbers of us by referendum to say we can still do it, the onus is now on them. We are not part of those looking for how to organize meeting, because they think that we are waiting for when the transition we're talking about is if they wake up in time, they organize themselves, and there are sufficient numbers of our people are convinced that we can do without the transition. We don't need no transition for Yoruba to sit back in Yoruba land and ask everybody else to dress back. But in closing, you can see the roles that our own people had played over time, from before independence to all of what had happened in 1967. Make a map of Nigeria, see the role of Gowon, see the role of Danjuma, see the role of Hussein, see the role of Obasanjo. See the role of our own people that are swearing to defend and uphold this constitution since 1999. They are the ones holding us down, including the ones that went to contest the election under that constitution. They are the ones holding us down, including the church leaders that asked people to go to get PVC at a time we had closed door sessions with them to explain these same things to them, including the lawyers who you saw them in their numbers at the tribunal when the election petition was going on. 50 senior advocates to one presidential candidate. They are the ones you saw. You saw what Olisa Abokoba did. You saw what Michael Zekome was doing for them. The same theory that Olisa Abokoba tried to market for a position that Mwabweze had abandoned in 2013 when we challenged him. Say our sovereignty resides with us. It's not with government. Olisabokoba comes in 2023 to reintroduce it. Mike Ozekome comes again to reinforce it. You can see where they come from.
Enemies of the people.
Look at those consultants they have hired now. They all know what we are talking about, but their money will not come if they can stand with us. They want to go and share that how many billion that Benjamin Kanu and Co had yanked off the treasury. For an exercise they know will go nowhere. They will share that money, waste our time, trying to get to 2027 election under this constitution. That's what they're struggling to do now, to make it look like they've answered us and they're going to the next thing. And so we have to be conscious of the fact that the major enemy we have to get out of the way now. We have defeated the Fulani and their British sponsors with the collapse of this constitution. They are enforcers in our spaces. They are enforcers in our spaces. Those willing tools that were identified by several brokers are the ones we must have in mind as we gather in this altar call and march towards the joint jailbreak that will follow without further ceremonies. I stop here.
All right, so we will stop here. You can see there's a jailbreak waiting for us. It's only if you wake up and organize yourself can you leave that jail. Nobody will do it for you, because some people guys, we are coming, we are going to know. As long as somebody else, you're waiting for somebody else to do it for you, you will continue to remain in that jail. And
there'll be victims now. There'll be victims. I said there'll be victims. Nigeria will happen to all of them.
Yeah, so it's loading, it's loading. If that's what you're waiting for, don't worry. Your gift will be delivered very soon. You decide the point that you want more for your people, the formula is on the table.
And you're welcome on board.
To end all this nonsense. The formula is on the table. Your role now is to ask, please, can I get a copy of the formula? Can I have the formula? Can I learn more about the formula? What do I need to do to make it happen? As long as you're lying to yourself, it's just a matter of time, and the British Nigeria will come to your doorstep. So let's look at some take-home points. I posted the link of this video. Like I said, it's better if you listen to this video on your own. Make notes so that you can pause and restart as you take notes for you to understand. This whole video will make you an expert on the issue of Nigeria. This whole video, if you listen to it from beginning to end, you will understand where. It will end for you. Shell was headquartered at Owerri for 42 years before they moved to Port Harcourt in 1960. Like we say, what were they doing there? According to history, these people took the same oil that we have in our land to finance even First World War. The information was given by the colonial monsters, not me. The current siege via 1999 Constitution weakens the people on several fronts. When you look at it, nothing is going forward. Nothing is happening for you. The only people it's happening for those that will be willing to sell your land in the name of cashew tree. They're going to, because cashew grows in a certain area. Let's buy the whole land and plant cashew trees so we can send them to Canada, we can send them to China, only for you to turn around. Buhari is giving them certificate for a job well done for capturing your land for the Aruga. But with all of this, when they add food embargo, it makes it a case of extermination. What do we need to do? We must embrace actions that are being taken towards our self-redemption. Again, the formula is on the table. The template is on the table. Whatever you want to call it, framework, strategy, Ndoyibo, is on the table. We need to make sense of it so that you can move. Like we said, this whole thing can end this week, this coming week, if we want it to. But if you're waiting for a bag of rice to turn into $500,000, or maybe when you bury all your family members to come to the table, so be it. We want you to remember that self-determination is your right. Self-determination is your right. And it will not be given by criminals that have already taken it for their own good. We have to take it back from them. So never you agree for anyone to tell you otherwise. Because if not, you will not like the outcome. Our brother mentioned the 5-point Nina
Yeah.
proposition.
Sorry, before the 5 points, let me just quickly add, when you say no agree for anyone, Ndi Igbo will say, Aye kwechirigo. Aye kwechirigo, because we are the people. You can see the system is running like looking for what to do. They just changed your national anthem to a colonial anthem. We say constitution is colonial constitution. Rather than remove it, just because they're looking for what to do, they're confused. They went and brought colonial anthem to add to the colonial.
And approve it within a week.
Yes, and approved it within a week. And then they went ahead to go and bring a Akin, Fatbohunda, or whatever, to bring a draft from inside his mother's kitchen. So all these things, the constitution, we want to substitute constitution. That means they have what we want you to take out of this is that they have agreed with what Ninas is saying, that we don't have a constitution. And they have ended even the one that they had, and there's no union right now. So what you're seeing is criminals doing one thing on the other. And Nina's secretariat has brought out a press statement. So look out for it. We have shared it in our platforms. Look out for it. It was dated May 31st. It's called Fraud Alert 3. The bill for an act to substitute the annexation to Decree 24 of 1999 with a new governance model for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So the press statement is out, issued by Nina's Secretariat, May 31st, 2024, in response to all the inquiries coming from everywhere, asking about this draft bill. What is it? What's the meaning? Nina's call it buffoonery. That English is like people are clowning around. Nala in Igbo culture, just doing some stupid, mad people. What you need to do is embrace Nina's template for self-determination, like my sister has said. Kwechiri, no agree for anyone. We move.
Sure. We definitely we are moving for sure. All right, so I'll continue with the
5-point agenda. Sorry.
Was maybe him one or
5-point agenda.
Yes, a 5-point agenda, which is acknowledgement of the constitutional grievances raised up in union dispute. And then the 2 is a commitment to decommission the imposed 1999 unitary constitution. The 3rd is no further election, because as long as you go in there and vote, they will use the same instrument to govern your behind, and you're not going anywhere. And number 4 is constituent peoples of Nigeria to work out the modalities for transitioning. And last and not the least, announcement of a 2-stage transitioning with firstly multi-regional referendums for our people, the constituents, because all these things are big words, people to recommit or opt out of Nigeria. And secondly, decide the terms of the union based on what we get from the referendum. So you can see from this wonderful staircase here, we are going up. We are going up. We are currently on the 3rd, that we are demanding for transition now. That's what you should be asking everyone that is coming to you. Because that's your money. But rice with the sense that you want a change. So we'll look at our announcements. Twitter Tuesday is a very good day to send that Twitter. You can send any other day, but Twitter is our big day. For you to learn more, you can go to ninas.voice, ninasvoice.org, daughtersoftrue.org. We have a YouTube video. Like we said, thank you so much for those of you that helped one of our videos to go, viral. I saw it everywhere. Someone was sending it to me. People that I didn't even know how they were sending it to me. So well done. We'll get this job done. Don't worry about the numbers. They want you to be discouraged. But I got one and I wouldn't Igbo, not in Igbo. We know who we are. So please do not watch alone. Help others by sharing to get them informed. Subscribe, like, and love. Because when you subscribe, when we drop the videos, please break it down and drop it. Please help us to share it. Our people love those small videos because they don't have the attention span to be listening to a 2-hour video. So when we break it down, it gives them the opportunity to sort of watch at their own pace without getting overwhelmed. Because it's a lot of information and we do understand that.
And then sometimes they don't even have the data to have that long one. So
I don't know about that. They have the data to watch Koro video.
No, those ones are watching Koro video are not even the ones that were. These ones are inside the interior. The ones watching Koro video are all over the world. They're doing their own thing where they are, living in Abuja, Lagos, and all that.
Yeah.
We are talking about data. It's our people that are back home in Alibo. They gave them 2G. What they have there is 2G. While Abuja has 5G, Lagos has 5G, and Igbo is 2G. You can't even reach them on the phone. Internet is near to nothing. So they're the ones we're actually talking about. And that's why we'll break it down. So help us to share to them. It's very important, please.
Right. So as always, thank you guys so much. For those that stays throughout, we appreciate you. This work will be done. I am so excited in my spirit that we are going in the right trajectory. So brothers and sisters, we'll see you next week. Take care until then. Bye-bye.